My guest this morning, Kweku Baako, is editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. Kofi Bentil is a lawyer and vice president, Imani Africa. Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Marking is MP, member, Public Accounts, Defense and Interior Committees of Parliament. And Inusa Fuseni is MP, ranking member, Legal, Constitutional and Parliamentary Affairs. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to Newsfile.
Thank you.
Right. So, as you know already, in the course of this week, one of the matters that have been on the front pages of your mind and have, generated a lot of discussion has had to do with Kelne GVG, led to the Minister of Communication being hauled to Parliament and she making a 12-page statement that we will be sharing portions of. But we are starting this morning on the note of the most anticipated screening of a video that has led to so much trouble, including police doing some work and the presidency giving the police, reporting matters to the police and for the police to act. Now, it does appear that the focus and attention is being shifted from that particular project to the individual who conducted that work, ANAS ANAS. His modus operandi is being challenged and his credibility is definitely on the line. We'll find out if there's just a storm in a teacup. And then, of course, we will deal with all the other matters that we have tabled before you about revenue losses in petroleum revenue losses, and where we are told some persons might be involved, and also very troubling, Obingfo Hospital. And Obingfo himself has been charged with murder following an operation that led to the death of one person. So let's start by way of a preliminary matter to deal with questions arising from number 12, ANAS's investigative work. Let's listen to what transpired in the course of the week.
Many pictures from UK and Dubai. I'm challenging them. Me challenge ANAS. We cannot allow this rot to go on in this country. Hell no, it's not going to happen. I'm asking, say, ANAS. Jumana Adan Kesia Wasisi now. Kofinti should go and check. Why yes, our Kofinti is a demonstration. He uses a police officer called Gilbert Aga. Now I go after IGP. Why is it that ANAS, who is he? That constant 24/7 that they are bicycle the police officer open. I will strip him naked for Ghanaians to see who ANAS is. And when we finish today, I'll bring you more evidence and pictures. Medical show on TV station so that Kweku Baako didn't cast one Kosiwa or Musiume.
Yes. The constitution of this country, ANAS, a citizen of the land, even a foreign resident here, with that right, can acquire property, true or false. Now, if a citizen has acquired property or properties, a business or food there, that acquisition was as a result of proceeds of criminal activity. Where do we go?
Yeah, police beer.
Or plot or trade furniture, which is a subject of litigation.
A croupier.
A croupier, Kwame.
There be also or dosu.
Okay. Chana no open. Kwame, make it a judgment, court judgment. This is a ruling of the High Court, dated 31st July 2017. It's Adolph Tete Agyapong, plaintiff, versus ANAS ANAS and Holy Quay, defendants. The court ruled in favor of ANAS. I'm told the plaintiff has gone upstairs or court of appeal. That is what any law-abiding citizen will do. What the law court of appeal says, if he goes against ANAS, he will go to the Supreme Court, where it will end. So if you are talking of somebody being involved in land litigation, no. But there's a court ruling, there's a public record. And I mean, all this company, ANAS's name is there, the signature is there. So it is not as if it is hidden. It is not somebody who is holding it on his behalf. His own name is there, his signatures are there.
You think ANAS has the right to do what he's doing? Is it allowed? Say show. They have to stop him. Somebody should take him to court right now to stop him from what he's doing. It's a pure blackmail to enrich himself. So lawful or boy, I write the issue in ANAS.
Right. In the midst of all of that, ANAS says that he's focused and there will be no obstruction. And that on the 6th of June, you make yourself available to watch his latest job, number 12. But we can't sweep the matters that have come up under the carpet. They ought to be discussed. So I'm going to start with Abdul-Malik Kweku Baako. You have heard him say that he will fight off any attempt to destroy ANAS. And that's, according to him, no one should dare. Just don't dare. Now, Kweku will deal with the question of the methods of ANAS's investigation that have come up, which appear to always come up, but this time it does appear they have come up. It has come up a lot more strongly than before. You remember Martin Amidu even having issues with ANAS and his operations and how his setup is. Now, the questions that are coming up, including particularly being led by Ken Agyapong, your response is that, okay, ANAS is a citizen of Ghana. He has right to also own property. So even if he has a lot of property, what's the big deal? But Ken Agyapong is saying, if he's doing the kind of work he's doing like a journalist, the obvious thing is that journalists are not wealthy. So if in fact all the properties he names, among others, belong to ANAS, how can he justify that these belong to him and that he acquired them, you know, through genuine means? There are other matters that have come up about, you know, some immoral activity with him and even criminal in a certain connection to the murder of, or the wife of the late J.B. Dankwa. So I'll start with you. Deal with the issues in the manner that you prefer to commence.
There are two sets of allegations. That's from my point of view in terms of conceptualizing. And I would separate the two and deal with them separately.
Okay.
See, as you just alluded to, there's even now an insinuation or an innuendo linking ANAS to a criminal project in terms of the death of a member of parliament. And that linkage is done through linking it to the widow.
Yes, Ivy.
A very outrageous and serious allegation to make. I've decided there are some of those allegations that the one making the allegation is the one to provide further and better particulars for us to proceed any further. I've been advised that the dignity of the widow is even at stake. And so talking about it perhaps hurts sensibilities and sensitivities. I've been told that. And even in our code of ethics, grief and things, we have to be careful how we handle it. But we are really challenged, and you have put it forward. I'm praying to God to Allah that this may be the very last time I may talk about that aspect for good reasons. First of all, they were mates in school. I mean, the lady and ANAS, they were mates at GIG.
Right.
So there's a friendship, there's a relationship, and not the way that Lejo, in this case, my friend Ken Agyapong, is putting it. But my brother, the MP was murdered on the 9th of February 2016, if my recollection is correct. The police arrested some suspect or suspects. The case, as I believe, is in court.
It is.
The NPP as a political party has issued 2 or 3 statements whilst in opposition and in government, pledging its commitment to ensure that justice is done to the memory of the late MP. The widow and family members have all made such statements. Sometimes people get worried when there is delay. I, having been to prison, have seen murder cases that lasted 10 years, 12 years. There are people there, 14, 15 years. You may know better as a lawyer. So I've been asking, as outrageous as this particular allegation is, why is it that the lawmaker who is suddenly making these allegations have not found it necessary to give this information to his party and the administration of which he is part of today, and the police? Why? Why was he hiding it? Assuming without admitting he really has that information. A responsible lawmaker, you have such an explosive information, and you hear your own party holding press conferences and issuing statements. On the first anniversary of the death of the late MP, the party was out there, as I recall, making the statement of how they are determined to ensure justice. And that information is not given to the police. It is suddenly when ANAS is going to do number 12, and you don't want number 12 shown and all that, you release this. Well, let people think whether this is not just an attempt at character assassination, and whether it is a genuine citizen's responsibility that the lawmaker is undertaking. That's all what I'll say there. Mm. Then
do you or do you not know, or it's mere rumor, that there is in fact investigations to which ANAS is connected as far as the subject of the murder of J.B. Dankwa is concerned, and that at the highest level of the police, something of the sort is going on, and he is connected because of the woman as well?
Connected, I don't understand. As a suspect, or what?
A person of interest, maybe, not a suspect.
And ANAS is not aware? Has he been called, invited by the police? I mean, please, you understand? If the police, and that also has to be a responsible thing for the police to do. If ANAS is a subject of interest, and the case is ongoing in court, then there's a problem with even what they are doing in court. Mm-hmm. And for that matter, the way the police is also conducting itself. So the right thing to do is to invite ANAS, tell him he's a matter subject of interest, and interrogate him so as to see whether indeed what is ongoing in court is not all nonsense, so that you substitute him for the one who is on trial. I don't think there should be any ongoing investigation by the police without reference to that gentleman and without dragging him into the investigative realm of the state.
Okay.
And for that matter, any judicial action that is necessary and desirable. For me, those kind of allegations, when there is a public debate or discourse or agitation, when those things come out, it's a reflection of weakness on the part of those who are making the allegation. A reflection of the inadequacy of their case. They throw in all sorts of things to confuse and divert. If you are strong, you are resourceful, you have the evidence, you focus on the substantive matters in order to strip the gentleman naked as you are claiming. I hope I never discuss that aspect again. Now, another one that I'm hoping I will never discuss again is the allusion that there was a manipulation by a former Chief Justice to to procure a law certificate for ANAS. The integrity of the former Chief Justice is at stake. Today, as we speak, she sits on the Council of State, appointed by the incumbent president, whose party the lawmaker who is making that allegation belongs to. How do I go and establish a case there? You are the lawyers. You know how things go in terms of sitting for your exams or training as a law student and passing out on all the rest. He talks about, he knows the lawyers who marked the gentleman's papers. He doesn't tell us whether it's the lawyers who told him that they were asked to actually credit the man with anything and let him go. He doesn't tell us how the former Chief Justice manipulated the system. But we are being invited to respond. He said that ANAS being an anti-corruption crusader, we should shift the principle now, and that he who is been accused is the one who must come and prove his innocence. We are being told that. I've read it elsewhere.
Sorry, when was ANAS called to the bar as a lawyer?
I cannot immediately recollect.
Okay.
Yes, I cannot. I didn't bother to ask him. But it's public.
2012?
He was my mate, but he wasn't called with us. I
Okay.
think it was 13 or 14.
2013
Or 14.
or
I'm not
14.
sure.
I can send
He
him.
wasn't called
Right.
with us. He
When,
was my
when
mate.
was his work on the judiciary done?
That was
No,
2015, 2016.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I needed to state to you and to bring to your information that, as far as my knowledge goes, the first time ANAS got to know and meet the Chief Justice was after that project.
Yeah, I know that.
Yes.
I know.
So when you were referring to the CJ's the allegations of the CJ's involvement in procuring his law certificate, I just needed to point out that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was only rehashing what was
Right.
being said by the lawmaker, in this
Right.
case, Ken Agyapong. I don't know if you don't
for
get
a
my
fact-
drift.
I know for a fact that the first time he got to have any connection physically with the Chief Justice by way of getting to know her was after that project.
Thank you.
That was long after he had been called to the
Well,
bar.
in my view, it only reinforces the point I'm making.
Okay.
Except that it's one of the outrageous allegations that I think ANAS or I should not be the one responding. The one making the allegation is expected and obliged to provide further and better particulars. Okay. He's a lawmaker.
Right.
He's not just an ordinary Ghanaian. Now, please, there is another one. He talks now of extortion and blackmail. Again, that kind of allegation, it is for you to bring the evidence. I am told that he's, okay, I won't say that one, but I'm told that he's put somebody on air on his station, Net 2, who came. He's supposed to be called Hafiz Muhammad. I'm told the gentleman came talking about ANAS took money from him and all those things. Then I recollected this gentleman, Muhammad Hafiz, was a subject of investigation by the New Crusading Guide, 2009. And that investigation was led by ANAS. It was in the 5.7 million gold scam. And the ANAS investigative team, that time was exclusively New Crusading Guide, nothing to do with Tiger Eye, collaborated with the police and went to the gentleman's house to arrest him. The stories are here. You can look for 17 September 2009 Ghana Web. You look for November 13, 2009 Ghana Web and all that. And this matter became a running battle between ANAS and this gentleman and the newspaper. Eventually, the police took the case to court. The gentleman was charged. The judge that presided over that trial was Justice Quist. I don't know if the name rings a bell. Then something went on in court and everything was bizarre. But that was the beginning of where decision to put Justice Quist on the radar. I'm talking of from 2009. Eventually, 2015 and 2016, Justice Quist was busted by Tiger Eye. the fixed guy, his story is a long story, but I've decided that I'll focus only what has been said. His name was mentioned by Ken Agyapong. He has also come out to say something. So I will not go into other details about his own problems with the law.
So it's not true that ANAS, took a bribe to shelve a story.
It is a liar. It is a lie of the biggest order. It's a lie. The story ANAS, I'm saying that's what took him to court. This alleged fraud and things, that's what went to court.
So you're saying if he had been bribed, the matter would not have
ANAS would not even have joined the police. It's ANAS who did undercover investigations, then gave the report to the police CID.
Okay.
The police CID combined with him, and they went and busted this gentleman.
Okay.
And this is 2009.
All right.
What stopped him from 2009 to today from disclosing until somebody goes mentioning his name as his witness? 2009 to 2018. Hafiz loved ANAS so much that he did not spill the beans on ANAS. Please. But again, as I said, those allegations being made by the lawmaker, who as a responsible citizen, I expect to provide the evidence so that we proceed on. Now, there are other allegations that I think needed to be dealt with. He makes the point, and you started it with your introduction, and ask the journalist, how can he have properties? How can he do this? And then he mentioned the company, Finas Pharma Limited, and proceeded further to say they don't pay tax. Okay, see, this is the certificate to commence business of Finas. It's dated 1st October 2009. And the records, ANAS's name is there. It's not like hidden. It's not like somebody holding interest on his behalf. He's there, he's signed. His partner is Philip Miriku. I'm not sure whether it's good to mention his name, but it's here. These are public records anyway. So it is there. The registration was updated, was the 30th day of September 2009. Okay? And with his names there, ANAS Arimeya, ANAS. His signature there, public record, Registrar General. It's not a hidden thing. He said they don't pay tax and SNET contributions. I brought here all the, first of all, the audited accounts of the company from 2011 to 2016. He showed nothing. He, the person making the allegation, showed nothing. This, they are here. Then payments of tax, Ghana revenue thing, from 2013 to 2017. All here. Now, this Finas is the combination of the Philip and ANAS.
Right.
He talks of high-rise buildings at Jolu owned by ANAS. Only one high-rise building is owned by this company. Yes, you may say because ANAS and the gentleman are co-owners, there's a linkage. I don't have a problem with that. But the truth is that it is one building that belongs to the company. He talks of another company, Kuldos, at Osu, a flat, also is registered. That company is registered. That's sole proprietorship by ANAS. He didn't hide his name. And it is registered. Also, the tax obligations and payments are here. Then he talks of land at trade fair litigation. I've brought the judgment here. The case went to court. This is it. It's 31st day of July 2017. The case was before the Lordship Justice K.A. Jima. Suit number so and so and so and so is there. You can see it. Adolf Tete Ajay plaintiff versus ANAS Arimeya ANAS and Holy Kwe, the two defendants. This high court ruling went in favor of the defendants. That's ANAS and Holy Kwe, who I don't even know. But the gentleman, the plaintiff, lawfully has gone upstairs because he disagrees with this high court judgment. Right. And I'm told, as we speak, he's...
When Kweku says he has gone upstairs, mean gone on appeal?
Yes, thank you, more appropriately. He's gone to the Court of Appeal, so the case is pending. But I was wondering, if ANAS was involved in land litigation, so what? Did he steal it? Did he cheat somebody? You are to prove that. But at least there's a public record. Court records are public records. So it isn't as if somebody was revealing anything. The point I'm making is this, in order for others to come in,
yes,
is that the revelations that, oh, he has a company called Finance was public record. It's no discovery. Okay? There's a house at a Juso that is pointed to, that belongs to Tiger Eye. And I brought the Tiger Eye also registration and everything here, and their payments of taxes and everything. It's here. These are public records. So if a bogus informant came to you and gave you an information on ANAS, exclusively just the journalist, and say he has all these things, I expected the lawmaker to have taken his time, use what he had been told by the bogus informant as leads, and then proceed to Ghana Revenue Authority, check, SNIT, check. That's what you do to make a case.
Okay. All right. Yusuf Seni.
Yes, sir.
What will be your comments on these matters that have, popped up and definitely deserve interrogating?
Well, thank you so very much, Samson. I've been following this thing for the past week or two. I've listened to the emotional effusions of Ken Agyapong on several networks. And I am very, very sad. Even here, I'm very sad about what is happening. What we have just done is to put ANAS on trial. That's just what we have just done.
When the thieves are running around.
When the thieves are running around.
ANAS puts people on trial.
No, we are putting him on trial just here. And the trial that we are putting on has nothing to do with what provoked that. Has nothing to do with it. Now, but my people in Tamale, and the Gombes particularly, say that when you hit your leg against an object and fall, to determine the cause of the fall, you must go back to where you hit your leg. You will see that object. And then you can know what was the cause of your fall. So we go back to the decision that was taken by my good friend and brother, Kweku Baako, to extend a privilege to the president. The privileges of the president are defined by law. It doesn't include the privilege to watch a video undertaken exclusively and entirely by a private person with private resources. It doesn't include that. So it was a bad decision. It was an error of judgment. And my friend Mr. Kweku Baako knew that they were venturing into dangerous waters. And that was why...
He ought to have known, are you saying?
Yes, he knew. And that was why he elicited from the president an agreement of confidentiality. Because he knew. But what has happened? All that we are talking about, ANAS today, is the failure or refusal to abide by the agreement of confidentiality that was entered into with the president. That's all. So you see, actions and reactions are equal but opposite. That is it. I think that ANAS is learning. My good brother and friend Kweku Baako is also learning from this. That no, such misjudgments should be avoided in future. Therefore, my GB Dankwa, I don't want to tarnish and despoil his memory at all. He was a good friend of mine. He was a colleague in parliament, and indeed he was my first client. The first time I went to court as a lawyer was for GB Dankwa. So I will not tarnish his reputation. And I will not engage and give credence to the falsehood that is being peddled by my colleague, Ken Agyapong. But the question
How do you determine that he's peddling falsehood?
Well, he just said it. I mean, if you say that something is fundamentally wrong with ANAS himself, and so he has no credibility even to do what he's doing. That's what he's saying. what you need to do, and that lack of credibility is actually founded on criminal behavior. That's the accusation. So what do? You report that criminal behavior and subject him now to investigation.
He talks about conduct that suggests extramarital affairs and an affair with the wife of someone else. That's the first point of the conduct that he suggests, which is wrong conduct.
No, you should have listened to him. It was an innuendo, or he was leading you to make an inference on the circumstances surrounding
their friendship.
No, the death.
Okay.
He's gone further to see that he did murder.
He was leading you. No, he was leading you.
Went to sleep, went to ANAS's house that day. ANAS is married. The wife stays in the house anyway.
Well, but you could say, me, I listened to the tape. I listened to is it Adum TV or something like that?
Yeah.
I listened to a tape. And then you could see clearly. I mean,
that's where you limit your information to. Then you haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything.
I've not heard anything.
On Adum TV, he said nothing.
nothing. Okay. So you see, but come to think about it. Why are we running away from ANAS? Why are we running away? Is it a nuisance?
No, but to start with, should the police be talking to this member of parliament? Because the case is still in court. It's still in court. And you have someone who's been charged who pleads not guilty. So to start with, it suggests that there may be other suspects that should be looked for. So if he's emphatic on what he's claiming and having had all of that knowledge, like Kweku is suggesting, maybe getting into the crime of, on his part, misprision of crime, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. So probably he may well be advised to report the matter to the police for an investigation to be opened into the death of my good brother and friend, late JB Dankwa. He was also the chairman of my committee, trade committee when we were in Parliament. Now, so I was coming to why we are talking about ANAS. And this is ANAS's project. Anything new? Sometimes you're a journalist, and you also a lawyer. You remember in the 1970s, Chicago Times, a Chicago Tribune, did a similar activity in Chicago.
Okay, we'll return to that to deal with that and the questions of the methodology that he employs. Mr. Fiyomaki.
Samson.
Yes, the matters that are coming up.
This morning, you've reminded us of Article 34. We need to have a just and free society. How do we achieve that? By respecting the rights of all Ghanaians and avoiding speculation, unnecessary speculation. And I think over a period, our own conduct has led to all of these. And maybe it is time for us to respect the principles that go into proving somebody's guilt and whether or not somebody is right or wrong. It is said,
your long-standing position.
it is said that if all men find a man's hand in a till, his guilt must still be what? Proven.
Beyond reasonable doubt.
Well, so all these issues of attacks, I mean, people have had cause to question ANAS. That, well, you said somebody has done something. You showed it. The person was not even given the opportunity, but people started condemning. Now today somebody is also accusing you and all that. ANAS has been my good friend for over 16 years. Honorable Ken Agyapong is more or less a father to me. You know, Central Region, our chairman of COCOT, I'm always with him. I spoke to ANAS at length last night. I spoke to Honorable Ken Agyapong at length last night. There are people who are going to him, videos, pictures. I see it. I've been talking to ANAS. ANAS, what's going on? He says, Alex, I've done nothing wrong. Yesterday night, we spoke for almost 30 minutes. I'm in between, you know. It's unfortunate. Angry Kweku is making efforts in verifying some of these facts. So I think that, yes, issues of reputation must not be approached with emotions.
Yeah.
People get up and sponsor people to attack others in this country. We know it.
Yeah.
Hold press conferences and it's an agenda. We hear. We pretend, oh, because it is happening to somebody and somebody is benefiting. And so people get up and, you know, and all that. But we've gotten to a point where we need to come out of this and take a position. So that it wouldn't be like, oh, today it is my friend, so let me go and protect him. It is Afenyo Mark, you know, he's not my friend, so let's crucify him. His agenda for the week. One day it will be your turn. So let's stop it now. Now the issue of Honorable Agyapong being alleged to have said that ANAS is linked to the death of JB Danquah, with the greatest respect, it's a battle of speculation. Because I've listened to him. He made a statement. And if somebody will say it's an innuendo, which is to lead somebody into something, well, that's a person's view.
Kweku is telling you that he has now said that in a more emphatic manner on his own platform.
Well, with respect,
right.
with respect.
He's now linked him to murder.
With respect, that point has not come to my attention.
Okay.
That point, with respect.
Fair.
That's it. It's
Fair.
yes. But if that is the case, then, like it's been said, the police must now begin to ask questions, because there's a matter in court. And like he said, Honorable JB Danquah was also my supplier. I was buying spare parts from him. In Parliament, he was mentoring me. And I think that he deserves respect, even as he's resting in peace, and the wife as well. So I don't want to get into that. Kweku himself didn't want to navigate into that area. So we leave it there. Whoever has evidence would have to follow the appropriate procedure and use the right forum to prove that. I mean, that one, no doubt. But it is unfortunate the way
you say we leave it at that. But what would you say to people like Ken Agyapong and the others that have been heard on his network, including somebody that is alleged to be a member of the JB Danquah family, that is also, you know, seek to give credence to some of the claims that have been made about JB's house in London and how it was sold, and bringing ANAS into the connection, talking about on the day of the murder or the night of the murder aftermath, blood and footprints of the wife and so on and so forth.
Samson, I'm not an investigator. It's not my profession. I don't need to speculate on facts that are disjointed. I don't want to get into matters that I don't have a hold on.
Yeah, so what do you say to those people? Because you say we need to, you know, protect the image of JB, and of course we have to be sensitive to the wife.
All parties,
the wife and child,
yes.
right?
People are questioning ANAS's methodology. People are questioning the approach of Honorable Ken Agyapong. Both of them are on the radar. So, if you have evidence, follow the appropriate procedure.
Okay.
And prove, because ANAS is going to show a video, isn't he?
Right.
Honorable Ken Agyapong is in possession of a video.
Yes, he says.
And he also wants to show it. What do we do?
Let him show it.
You see, because it's a matter of, he is trying to say that, look, ANAS is not justified in what he's doing.
He's not
He's
clean.
against his methodology. ANAS says, look, I am justified, I'm doing what is right, and I'm not in to tarnish people's reputation. I am actually in to clean up the rot in society.
Okay.
So these are opposing arguments. What is there for us to say? But I think, bottom line, that determine the guilt of people before giving them the opportunity to be heard is fundamentally wrong. And that is what is becoming the problem.
Have you heard
in this country.
suggestions that, and that's a substantial point you have always made. Have you heard suggestions that because Ken Agyapong actually showed what he said were photographs or images of ANAS, including passports, then there is some state complicity because these are official documents and records, and only people within the state apparatus could have given it to him. And the suggestion is that definitely the government or the presidency is not excited about the fact that number 12 has had persons, including the president and vice, mentioned.
No, Samson. This suggestion from whichever so-called group is an overstretch.
Felix Ofosu-Kwakye in particular.
It's with respect. It's an overstretch. It's an overstretch. I don't want to say with authority, but I'm telling you that people on daily basis go to the man and claim to have one information or the other. My good friend Felix should not bring in the government and the presidency and all that into this matter. No, not at all. No, he should not.
Okay.
That the state is sponsoring Honorable Ken Agyapong to smear ANAS, that would be most unfair statement or comment to come from Felix. No.
Okay. Where do you start? And maybe from what Inusa Fuseni speaks about, the discretion or indiscretion, as he says, in giving the president and the vice president the privilege of a 5-minute peek is what has led to all of this.
Good morning. Respect to Honorable Fuseni, that's a red herring. And in fact, that's secondary to the substantive matter. This is about the so-called exposure of ANAS. So in that context, it's a red herring. The substantive issue that connects to is the propriety of showing that 5-minute thing to the president. And I think it's entirely proper. And Kweku extracted the necessary confidences. It's just that by virtue of certain things, they breached it. So yes, you are right to say that he was disappointed. He himself has said so. But on the issue of so-called exposing ANAS, I don't think it features at all. Yes, the proverb is true. That is where it all started from. But let's be clear. By the way, nobody has confirmed that those pictures, so-called pictures of ANAS, are for ANAS. So let's be clear. People should be running around and saying so. And you see, to the issue of so-called exposure.
But remember there were disclosures on Peace FM?
That what?
That the presidency has watched it. So, I mean, so far the argument has been one-sided, as if the presidency breached some arrangement with Kweku.
I'm saying Kweku himself has said so.
Yes.
But I'm saying that's a second.
That there
Both
was a breach
ANAS
first.
and the BBC have been ANAS is hurt and the BBC disappointed.
Yes, but Peace FM
in not keeping
Peace
to the
FM
confidentiality
Peace FM platform
agreement
was used to breach the said agreement, leading to
I'm saying the breaching and
that
all
reaction
those belong to one discussion.
Okay.
The issue of what the Honorable Ken Agyapong is doing is another discussion.
Right.
very well. I agree.
Right?
Exactly.
And here, look, those who suggest that ANAS is supported, his law degree was, given to him by somebody, ANAS has not necessarily been a popular person across governments. It's not. And his knife cuts both ways. So it's a bit fanciful to be thinking those ways.
About the law degree, let me just state this, that I have a message from a source I can't disclose, but it's a source at the Ghana School of Law that says that ANAS got through law school on merit. He took the prescribed courses and passed. No one favored him.
Let me add to that. Look, ANAS was my mate.
And this is the source of, as it were, management of the entity.
Yes.
Right.
ANAS was my mate. We all sat in class. We protected him. He was learning in my room. He would go around and do his work and everything. He would come at all times, spend the night and learn. In my room, he joined my study class. Okay, there were courses he didn't pass. There were courses he passed. There are things, we used to laugh at him. When we were studying topics, we'll be studying, questions. Because he has so little time. Call him stealth bomber, precision bomber. He struggled through it. And look, he wasn't called the year we were called. Because he had issues. He fought through everything he got. Nobody gave him an inch. Even in school, there was an arrangement to try and disguise his name. Because when you come, you have to write your name. They didn't allow him. They didn't allow him. So he had to be writing his name in a register. So we had to protect him. He got everything he got by merit. And I say so on authority. He was learning in my room. Okay? So nobody should think that he gets anything. And the things he goes through, you ask yourself, why should anybody do that? And to that extent, let me tell some people this. If you think ANAS is shaken by this, you are sorely mistaken. I haven't seen any human being with the tenacity of ANAS Aremia ANAS. And if you think this is going to move him from where what he's doing and whatever, you are totally mistaken. If you bring a word to ANAS, he will accept it and fight you through it till the end. So let's put that aside. Now, look, when we were kids, I used to play a lot of football. And they'll tell you, when you miss the ball, don't miss the man. And sometimes it comes across as if we are in a situation where they can't say anything or find anything against the effect of ANAS's work. And to that extent, therefore, missing the ball, they are not missing the man. That's what we are saying. This is an attack on the person of ANAS. And this is brought on because of the effect of his work. Let me make this point clear. This is a country where our elite, for years, have raped and pillaged this country. And they've used the state system itself to rape and pillage. I work in a think tank, and I know what we come up against. And when they miss the ball with us, they will attack the men. Today, people are saying the telcos are happy with the JVG thing, and then they say they are also not happy, so they are paying us. We've seen that all the time. But here's a classic case of when you find that what the state authorities, police, CID, whatever, have failed or not been capable of doing because of political interference, ANAS and Tiger Eye alone are able to expose them and make the whole world see what they are doing.
Okay.
And they don't have an antidote to that. And I think that is why his person is coming under attack.
Right.
Look, James Foss, let me end with this. It's important. James Foss said, in this life, we have to make many choices. Some are very important choices. Some are not. Many of our choices are between good and evil. The choices we make, however, have dire consequences, and we have to live with them. What I'm saying is this: nobody is an angel. But at the end of the day, even what ANAS is doing, even though there is no legal impediment to it, even if there was a problem with this, we have to make the choice between whether ANAS is a net positive to this country or a net negative. Because if you destroy people like ANAS, we will have to live with the consequences. And we must be very, very careful. Whatever is wrong with ANAS as a human being.
Okay, you have already started
his
getting
work should be left alone.
into the methodology. So let me repeat a question I have asked. You say there's no legal impediment to it, and even if there was, we should look at the ultimate good rather than the process.
Yes.
That's effectively what you have said. Imagine that he got into a conversation with you and suggested whether if you could do A, if you had opportunity to do B, and you made comments and recorded you and say, because of that, you are prone to being corrupt, and therefore you are corrupt. Will you think that will be fair?
It will be unfair. But then I have to defend myself. Look at the cases of the judges.
If it will be unfair, why should it be encouraged? Because the question I have asked is, and that's, I put that question in a summary of the ethics about his methodology. He is not putting a camera at a place where he suspects you will go and commit a crime. So whilst you are committing the crime, he catches you. He rather puts a bait and then puts the camera on you. No. Then when you take the bait, he picks you up.
That's the way you're going. It's not always so.
Thank you.
Not always.
No. It's not always so.
People don't realize that.
All right.
And when he worked on the port thing, I was on the video. Okay, I collaborated with them on that. What ANAS does, and in the case of the judges, he said, look, he just listened to what people were saying, and it was open. You know some. So this man. You are doing it already, and he positions himself in such a way that he captures what you are doing. Now, to be emphatic about certain things, certain aspects, okay, he will do a sting.
a sting is known in law enforcement. The police do it. Everybody who knows about these things, they do it. And he does those things to confirm something which maybe was not exactly confirmed in the other methods that he uses. So usually...
You say the police do it?
Yes.
And by law, you would know that the standard is that, like acting as an agent provocateur, it is the state security,
yes,
and not a private individual who is allowed to do that.
Yes, but that is because they are running a state system. I put a post on Facebook to explain that thing very clearly. Look, the office of the citizen is more important than the office of the president. And the citizen is the sovereign. That should be very clear, number one. That being what it is, the citizen has every right to do everything he wants to do, to the extent that it is not a crime. And the only way you can stop a citizen from doing anything is to prove that there is a law prohibiting him from doing that, quote prohibition. But on the state, when we pay taxes and create a state system, and somebody is given power to use those taxes and resources and other things, that person may do nothing except what is expressly warranted by law. It is called quo warranto. So when it's a state system using the powers of the state, you cannot take our resources and harass us or do other things except what we have sent you to go and do. So when it comes to the state, they need express authorization before they can do these things. But when it comes to the citizen, Article 41 in our constitution says we must do everything we can, everything, to make sure that we safeguard the state and its resources, etc. In this same constitution, they put the perpetual clause, which says if somebody overthrows this constitution, everything you do to restore it is accepted. So it should be clear that until you can prove that ANAS has committed a crime against you, or he has done you some civil wrong or tort, ANAS and every citizen has the right to do anything and everything. And I'm saying that the methods he uses have become necessary because over our period as a nation, we've come to realize that grand corruption happens, grand malfeasance happens, and the state system can do nothing about it. So we are left with a situation where almost the state is, or the country or citizens are left at the mercy of ANAS, which is why he's a national hero and not a net negative to this country.
So in a minute, you appear to have agreed to two different aspects of his methods. One is that you are doing the thing the wrong, and then he puts his cameras on you and he catches you. And then the other one is that you are not actually doing it, but he baits you and finds that you will do it if you had the opportunity.
It's a sting.
On the basis of Article 18(2), do you think he can do that?
Yes, which I've said over and over.
Which says that the individual and the citizen, the privacy of your communication and correspondence is protected. Of course, the exception is provided, but the exception is not for the citizen to interfere, but for the law enforcer to interfere.
No, the exception is where you are doing something against the law.
Yes,
right.
And there's nothing there saying that.
Exception.
There's nothing there. So there's nothing there saying that it is for the law enforcement agencies.
There's no public interest there.
Okay. So
public interest to.
Oh, gentlemen, you're all lawyers. You understand this. Let's educate the public. That exception speaks to the issue of the power of crime. That the jurisprudence of crime is that nothing you are doing, no matter what your intention, if it constitutes crime, should be sacred or inviolable.
Okay, so now
that extension applies to citizens as well.
So that's the question. If it applies to citizens, if I'm not committing a crime, but you come and bait me and ask me whether if I had the opportunity I will commit a crime, and I get to do that, am I committing a crime that you are invading my privacy?
A crime is a crime, and that's what is defined in law as a crime. Now, but what he does is to confirm that you indeed commit a crime. So hold on. Again, look.
Counsel.
Hold on.
Wait, I'm coming to you right after that.
On this issue.
No, wait, yes, you speak, because we are speaking about the method briefly before we take a break.
As for the methods, we can go through, and I've said that sometimes you have to choose between good and evil. And it is never fair that if you disagree with the methods of a person, you attack the person. When the devil went to God to go and accuse Job, other people were like, why does the devil come into heaven? God didn't attack the person. He looked at the substance. So I'm saying, we are not holding brief and saying ANAS is an angel.
Okay.
But I'm saying that as a nation, we need to appreciate, and average people will tell you, that ANAS is an important single-person institution of this country.
Okay.
And he's
Thank
helping
you.
us and not
yes,
hindering
so
us.
you wanted to make a difference from what you were saying. What exactly is the point?
You see, my respected friend makes a good point on the first aspect, methodology. If you are committing a crime, fair enough. But on the second leg of his argument, I beg to disagree. That's why I sit in my house. You come and tell me, oh, Afenyo, this, that. Then you have a gadget. Just to tempt me, I brag or say something. The next moment say you have me on tape. And then you play it to the public. And then that makes me corrupt.
Bragging is not a crime.
No.
No.
Braggatry is not a crime, I agree.
Yes.
But what I'm saying that to the extent that by showing that video or by making the public listen to that, you have invaded my privacy or that you would have breached some privacy arrangement.
If there's no crime, you have a remedy in court.
No.
And it's elaborate.
Hold on. You don't lead somebody on into something and then turn around and say that, look, you've established the person's guilt, that he had the necessary menstrual.
No individual establishes guilt. A court establishes
I
guilt.
agree, but why?
So you submit your evidences to the court.
But when you first show it to the public, you let radio stations play it. What are you doing?
But do you know that today Joy
first,
FM has been stopped from showing certain documentaries? If you have
as a matter of principle, and I respect Joy FM for doing. As a matter of principle, I know they don't play.
So if anybody is aggrieved, they can go to court and stop it.
Of course, but my point is that
Let me put that in perspective. There was an attempt to stop the documentary through an application for injunction, and the injunction was refused. Now there's an appeal on it. That's a Kweku bias.
Is it right to do it? Go to Samson, and then you say, oh, Samson, I have something for you. Oh, you do this, and then when he takes the money or he says something, he say, yes, I suspected you to be weak in this. I suspected you to be doing this. Now I've gotten you. That aspect, I think it is most unfair. We shouldn't celebrate that leg of the methodology. We shouldn't.
There's never been a time ANAS has done only that.
No,
and that's the minor.
I agree.
No, we have separated the two now.
We have separated
So I
the
hear
two.
you.
Wait.
Mr. Bentel,
I hear you.
you see, you are at home. A friend comes to engage you.
No, I understand. Don't go through it.
Thank you.
I get it.
So I'm saying that if it is about somebody is committing a crime, like the Osu Children's Home thing, then ANAS gets in there, places a camera to get live pictures.
The cocoa,
the cocoa thing.
Fertilizer.
That one I agree, because it is happening. But if again, the same ANAS will now come to you and say, "Oh, Alex,
Like when?
No. We are being speculative. We are situating an argument.
Use the GFA situation.
GFA.
Yes.
Then you go to Nyantechi and entice him, and he begins to talk, says things, and then the next moment, on the basis of his braggatry, Nyantechi is a criminal or Nyantechi is corrupt. Now, if you had hidden some cameras and live, somebody, a genuine sponsor has come, and you know that, oh, you've established the fact that, oh, Nyantechi is engaged in some corrupt act, and that there's a genuine sponsor, a company is sponsoring football, and they are taking some bribes, and you want to really spot it, you've heard it, you've hidden some camera somewhere, and you got it right, I would not question it. But to the extent that you do a setup, and that setup leads you into getting the person in your net, with the greatest respect, I have a problem with that methodology. But if there's a genuine scenario, like a referee has taken bribe, I started football. The reason why I don't watch football, somewhere 2005, I started football in Winneba. They're going to play and they say, oh, chief, or they hear a referee, or they know me, they be me play football bill. I stopped football. Because we got to Division 2, mid-league, we're coming to Division 1, and BBNE, whatever, they say you have to pay. I say, what's going on? So I don't have interest in football at all. If a situation like that, and then the referee was coming to take the money, and then my technical man gets ANAS, and you take records of that, That is a real situation.
We are
Okay.
nitpicking, but
Thank
that's
you.
okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Wait. I hear Yunus of saying on the methodology, and then Kweku will wrap up on that for us. The methodology, as there's been an attempt to distinguish or categorize. What are your comments about them?
You see,
Because that's
I
what
don't-
began all the discussion
I
from
don't
Ken
really
Agyapong.
understand what we are talking about. If a private person, and Bentel said it, but he said it differently.
Check 41F.
You have the right. You have the right.
41F.
Yeah.
Let him read 41F.
Okay, he says I should read Article 41.
Yes, 41.
Bentel was referring to it earlier, that the exercise and enjoyment of rights and freedoms is inseparable from the performance of duties and obligations. And accordingly, it shall be the duty of every citizen, 41F of the Constitution, to protect and preserve public property and expose and combat misuse and waste of public funds and property.
D. Read D. 41D.
41D.
Yes.
So it shall be the duty of every citizen to respect the rights, freedoms, and legitimate interests of others, and generally to refrain from doing acts detrimental to the welfare of other persons.
So there's a juxtaposition of responsibility. And
All
I'm
right.
saying
You just called me to read.
said,
Let's
if
hear
there's
Yunus of saying.
No,
Thank
repeat.
you.
If there's a
The law, the constitutional provision is simply saying that you have the right
and combat.
you have the right to undertake certain activities which are not prescribed
By law.
And if those activities affect other persons, the Constitution doesn't say that you should not do them, but you refrain from.
Yes.
No, so you have done it. If they have the right, if they affect other people adversely, then those people will have, a cause of action against you.
But the Constitution says, no, there's an injunction there on you. Don't do it.
No.
Okay, thank you. Let's have Yunus say. Let's have Yunus say what
Right.
you say.
So I'm telling you that, you see, ANAS undertook a venture. And we have seen many. I'm surprised that this.
You are going to the US to give us the example.
You can go to the US. Even in the BCC case, Bank for, I don't know whether you know about that case. Bank for Commerce, Credit and Commerce. How did the bank collapse? It was a channel for drug traffickers. They were laundering money through that. You know who people did it? Journalists. I don't just understand what is happening. If you feel hard done by what ANAS has done, the judges, they didn't lie down. They've taken the matter to the African Court of Human Rights. They've gone there. So if you feel that, well, what ANAS is doing is wrong,
take him on.
Take him on.
Okay.
And you have it. It's taught Article. Is it Article 23 or so? If you think that is wrong,
take him on.
Take him on. But you see, we were talking about referees, and you say, well, if it is, and you are talking about Coco. Yes, well, if it is, but when it is the political class, no,
we're not talking politics.
That was not the example.
That is how it is imagined.
No, the category. This is the category. Let's get it clear. This is the category. Category number 1. People are engaging wrong. Then he takes his cameras on them, and he catches them in the course of doing the wrong.
ANAS doesn't do that. No. You
the
see,
Coco Syndicate, that's what he did.
Listen. What happens is that ANAS doesn't just go and put, let me entrap you. No. There must be a prima facie case of some wrongdoing. He would have identified the actors. But the nature of corruption is that it is highly unlikely that people will do it in sunlight. So you need something to shine the light on them, to expose it.
So when he gets to the when he gets to the Osu Children's Home, he puts his camera to capture what exactly is going on. That's the one leg of the method.
Let me tell you something. So why did he choose Osu Children's Home?
Prevalent reports of malfeasance.
Yes.
You must understand that he didn't go to any other home.
No, but I don't want us to mix up the categories. The first category is that they are doing wrong. At the port, they are doing some wrong. And he goes there, mingles with them, and then captures exactly what they are doing without necessarily entrapping anybody.
He's not entrapping anybody.
Yes, without necessarily entrapping anybody. Then there's a second aspect where the example is now being given of, for example, the GFA matter. where he goes, turns himself into a business person or someone who has interest in Ghana and begins to interact with the individual and says, I want to do this. How can you help?
He is confirming something.
And then how can you help? And the person says, oh, I can get this, I can get that.
Let's not put
that's also separate.
Yentachi on trial.
That's
but
also separate.
ANAS did not go to choose some other person. Have you asked yourself why ANAS chose Yentachi?
Okay, so let's hear from Kweku now.
And it's not everything.
Let's hear from Kweku now. Let's hear from
Kweku. He releases everything. Yes, some of them are genuine. He leaves them alone.
Your take on this, and then we take a break.
I have said on many occasions that I have no problems with those who raise ethical and moral challenges with ANAS's methodology.
Right.
Indeed, it is not exclusive to Ghana. That debate is as old as undercover journalism.
Yes.
So it's healthy, especially those who come on board from an intellectual, legal point of view. You accept that challenge, you interrogate it together. We may improve the system in terms of our governance systems and legal things. So I don't have a problem. It's those who seek to criminalize and bastardize the methods as well as the person engaged in that exercise that I have difficulties with. Here we are looking at it within those contexts. See, practically, let me give you the practice of it. The cocoa smuggling agenda. First of all, it is Ghana Cocoa Board that commissioned the project. The Ghana Cocoa Board's position was that the Ghana government had stationed security personnel at those places, SERPs, immigration and police, occasionally military presence. And yet, that phenomenon of smuggling was continuing for years. That's Ghana Cocoa Board, and they write out why they are contracting you, the private agency. Now, what it means is that the state agencies or the personnel of state agencies who had been entrusted with a certain public service were not doing it. They themselves were engaged in the exercise. And that is why Cocoa Board then decides to go for an alternative agency, in this case a private undercover agency, and gives them the mandate. They go there, they do reconnaissance, sometimes 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They see, and those things too are recorded.
And people think it's just ANAS. He's got a whole team.
It's a team.
It's a private
Okay, go ahead.
So they see all that. They report to Cocoa Board that indeed this is what is going on. So we are going into operation. So you infiltrate. It's like you are busting a drug cartel and things. You infiltrate. You become a sleeper in there. Become virtually like a participant in order to be able to get all the evidence. That's what they did. So in this case, it was combination of both. The officers were dealing with, cameras were there. You see, it's unfortunately, one is in the way you are disclosing the methods and things. We hardly want to engage in that conversation, but it's now become very necessary from this point of view. So it's there. Then the personnel, their team, also joins and dealing with you, the personnel. So both the human being is there, and the equipment too is there. It's a combination. Indeed, the Cocoa Board the thing, ANAS was arrested. Yeah, and kept in cells. Then, of course, we always have a fallback position, because here is a state agency who is mandated you to do something. Also, Children's Home reports, as Kofi said, came off and on that there's a child abuse. Now, he should have taken his notebook, his tape recorder, and go to the management and say, this is what I've heard, so I want to.
You are doing wrong.
You won't achieve the results.
Right.
So, yes, cameras are planted. Then you put some 2 or 3 people in there, like cleaners, they get employment and all that, and you film. Indeed, child abuse was there. The ministry eventually, 2010, the ministry held a press conference and said, yeah, I read the report, excerpts of the report here. Okay, Eurofoods, that contaminated food, the way practices that are unhygienic. He had to first get himself employed there. And then the cameras there. Once he gets in there, he can plant 2 or 3 cameras at different places, the kitchen here and there, and then he himself is there, working and observing. Sometimes 2 of his operatives have also been employed so that they can be stationed at different places. So again, it's a combination of the gadgets as well as the personnel, the human being. Now take the judges. As I told you, Justice Quest, for instance, he came on the radar right from that time.
2009.
Yes, right from that time. Okay?
So
but
people were wrong when they were saying it was CJ who gave lists.
they didn't know what they were talking about.
Was asking on the street.
See, you have your code of conduct for the magistrates here. They are not supposed to engage in ex parte communication.
Right.
Now, the cases that, and I won't go far because some are still on the so-called, the committee of inquiry is still on.
Right.
But you see, you the judge, you know your code. You know the cases before you. People come to you to discuss the cases before you outside the courtroom or the legally allowed framework. Sometimes in your house or a place you have identified that they should meet you there. Some of the judges did that. They themselves chose locations for the meeting. Now, some of the people who came...
Agyapong named where he would receive the monies and all of that.
Thank you. And you know the accused persons or the litigants, rather, let me put it that way. The litigants. Some of the litigants who were making those complaints to the Tiger Eye people themselves are part of those who come to you, the judge, with operatives. You don't know. You think they are all family people.
Right.
But the litigants who know the cases have come to you.
Right.
And you are engaged in ex parte communication with them. First and foremost, there you are lost. You've lost already.
Right.
But subsequent to the ex parte communication, you agree to help them by delivering justice the way they want. On basis of which then you collect gifts. And in some of the instances, the judgments were passed that way.
Right.
So
Okay.
what are we talking about?
All right. So, like Kweku said, ex parte communication. Last week, I tried to, explain and separate that clearly to sort of see what it really was. So, the judges take an oath, and they have a code of conduct that says that if myself and Bentel are involved in a case, Bentel is the plaintiff, I'm the defendant. If Bentel wants to speak to the judge on that case, the judge should not allow him to meet with him alone. At least, if anything at all, the judge should ensure that I am also available so that the two of us can talk to him at the same time. But if you allow Bentel alone to come and have a discussion with you, you have breached the code.
Yes, and it's all here.
Right. So we
documented
take
for their thing.
We will take a break. There's a lot of messages that have come in.
For instance, last one, the
right.
anti-human trafficking
right.
operations, which Obama praised him and the police lady for.
Okay.
How was he going to go there? Openly, with his cameras and things? He'll be dead before he leaves the place. So he has to infiltrate.
Right.
It's subterfuge. And that is allowed by the GJA Code of Ethics.
Right.
As well as the National Media Commission's guidelines.
Yes, the GJA and the National Media Commission have all issued statements and have no issues, qualms whatsoever with the methods that ANAS employs. And in fact, the GJA has asked for police protection for him in the wake of the release of what is said to be his images. Some of them, when I saw them, I said, I had a good laugh when I saw them and they said, this is ANAS.
Oh, sure, they don't know ANAS. Look, he has over 146 what they call prosthetic
images. Yes.
Yeah. But something, don't you think we would have to test the law on the methodology?
No, you see,
in the court.
Feel free.
Yes,
right.
you can test it at the
That's
highest
Definitely a good way to go.
So that there will be settings.
2 points in 1 minute.
In 1 minute.
Yeah.
First of all, it is important that we evaluate ANAS's work in terms of fear in society for persons who engage in crime. It's important.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you.
Let's not
Because
forget.
our institutions have clearly changed.
Okay, thank you.
By testing the law, I believe my brother is talking of going to the highest
Exactly.
level. Otherwise, as we speak, some of the lower courts have used this evidence as admissible, and people are in prison.
In convict and jail people. Right. Thank you very much. There's, if nothing at all, there's one thing I know. I don't want the life of ANAS. I just don't want the life of ANAS. We're traveling together to some place out of Ghana. And even out of Ghana, he wasn't secured.
Yeah.
He had to be hiding when we were out of this country. And I looked at him, I said, my friend, what is this?
Exactly.
What is this? At the airport, you know how he had to run away somehow to catch up with some of us. It was
If you are
some
his
way.
friend, you know the
It
sacrifice
is the life
he makes.
I don't want at all. Himself, his family. So for those of you who have the benefit of what is being circulated as pictures, what do you gain by even showing them?
Well, I haven't seen him in any of
No,
them.
they are
Yes,
not, they are
we'll be
not
right back.
saying that.
We'll be right back.
I'm here to see him.
In fact, in all the pictures that they have